Good evening. This is the Dolores County Broadcasting Network. And as usual, it's Monday morning, and I have to give you the sports update for the absolute most worthless team in the NFL. I'm speaking of the New York Jets. My team. My team, which I may have to just totally divorce myself from one of these days. Maybe find a new team. Maybe a high school team. They'll probably play better than the Jets. The Jets lost again to a team that did everything in its power, the Titans, to lose the game. And the Jets, for some reason, just decided to completely accommodate them. The Jets had a touchdown on a pick six. They had a blocked field goal. They had a blocked punt. And they still figured out a way to lose this game. Absolutely worthless. Just a whole bunch of overpaid, underperforming players. And with that, now, the news. The DCTV 4-H Evening News Program for December 3rd, 2018, with camera people Sativa and Daniel, video engineer and producer and sound engineer Edward, teleprompter and prompter Myra, news anchor is Devin, meteorologist is Hannah, and this is the news director Dan. And now the news.
Welcome to the DCTV 4-H Kids Evening News Show. Help us keep our news show on the air by becoming a sponsor. You can buy a sponsorship by calling 970-677-4119. That's 970-677-4119. Now for the news. Hi, I am Devin, and here is our first story from the Denver Post. Hundreds of people lined Main Street on Saturday for the 29th Annual Four Corners Board of Retailers Parade of Lights. The 29th Annual Parade of Lights put on a spectacular display of lights, live music, and holiday cheer Saturday night on Main Street in Cortez. The fresh snow and the winter chill added the excitement to as 55 colorful festive floats passed by hundreds of bundled up spectators lining the streets, but it wasn't just for fun. The floats competed for cash prizes in 3 categories. The nonprofit category, the Club Scout Pack 225 took first place. Club Scout Pack 225 had a classic Western theme for their float, for the cactus and tumbleweeds surrounding a mock-up of a jail. Club Scout dressed up in decorated cardboard cow costumes led the way. Okay. In the commercial category, Sunglass Cortez was declared the winner. In the other category, Cortez FFA came out on top. During the parade, Overton sang songs of faith while accompanied by a guitar player. The Dolores State Bank float featured a wintry scene of creative handmade snowmen made of concrete and yarn. Okay. Along with Santa and Mrs. Claus sitting back in lounge chairs, loan processor Heather Veach said they have been working on the float since noon. The Montezuma Cortez School District Bus Barn float featured a covered wagon with scenes of the desert cactus and snow-covered mountains on the side, explaining float builders William Fish and Zach Higgins, both 11. Lloyd Rose lit up his 1958 Ford Fairlane 500 hardtop convertible with stylish lights and added a decorated tumbleweed on the back. Portable toilet company LePew participated for the first time after employee Mark Brunk suggested it. LePew's float featured blow-up skunks, a penguin, a decorated tree with presents, a portable potty, and Christmas music blasting from a surround system Brunk rigged up. Our joke is ho ho ho, even Santa Claus has to go. Bronk laughed is a great for advertising and for getting involved in a traditional event. The event is beloved among Cortez residents, but also attracts folks from out of state. Cortez resident Fawn Clark said her family likes the lights and creativity. She's been coming for years, but this was the first parade of lights for her daughter, Georgia, who is 1 year old. Now, this is a story from the Durango Herald. Cortez, the Crow Canyon Archaeological Center Pueblo Farmington project was highlighted in a new U.S. government report, the second slate of the Carbon Cycle Report, a company companion piece to the highly publicized National Climate Assessment, which warns about the dangers of climate change. Written by 200 scientists and issued by the U.S. Global Change Research Program, the follow-up report provides a current state of the science assessments of the carbon cycle in North America and its connection to both climate and society. The Pueblo Farming Project was referenced in a chapter of On Tribal Lands as a project documenting the sustainability and cultural importance of traditional agricultural practices. Since 2008, Crow Canyon researchers have planted, tended, and harvested corn and other crops from experimental gardens on the Crow Canyon campus and elsewhere in the southwest Colorado using traditional Hopi methods. Since 2008, the Hopi have been using their traditional ecological knowledge to teach us about dry land farming of corn, said Mark Variani, Executive Vice President of the Research Institute at Crow Canyon, told the Journal in 2013, "It has been an honor to work with them and very inspiring to learn from their experiences." The Hopi continue to farm in Arizona's Black Mesa Desert in Arizona, as they have done for generations. Where others have failed, the Hopi are proficient at growing corn, squash, beans, and melons. For the Hopi, corn is not just food, it is a metaphor for life. Their people were created from corn, said Paul Ermingati, a researcher and educator at Crow Canyon. There are 5 basic varieties of corn: popcorn, flint, or Indian corn with colorful kernels, dent, flour, and sweet corn. The oldest corn cob dates to 6,500 years ago. Domesticated corn arrived in the Southwest 4,000 years ago. It is derived from a wild grass called Teosinte, which first began to be cultivated as corn 9,500 years ago. The Hopi relationship with corn is different than me going to the grocery store to buy it, Varian said. It is central to their identity, and they think about it in a different way. Their methods, which eschews modern farming machinery such as tractors or tillers for traditional tools like planting sticks, use minimal water and maximize the moisture, nutrients, and carbon storage in the region's typical sandy soil. This story is from the Journal. U.S. faces Canada in a fight for cannabis supremacy. A key question has emerged, and investigators pour millions of dollars into the marijuana industry. Will it be U.S. or Canada companies that win the race for cannabis supremacy? Businesses in Canada licensed to grow and sell weed has a head start thanks to their government's legalization of pot for adult use in October. They're well funded and are touting their ability to export medical marijuana to countries around the globe that are relaxing restrictions. Still, Canada's population is smaller than California's, and the U.S. market for legal marijuana is already larger than the northern neighborhood, with estimates saying it could eventually be more than 10 times the size. As the thinking goes, America is where brands and fortunes are made, and there's no reason to think that cannabis will be any different, despite the current federal prohibition. As it stands, the four biggest weed companies in the world, including two with valuations north of $10 billion. $10 billion, man. Operated in Canada. But among the top 10, half are now operating in the U.S. after a surge in American companies that are listed publicly in Canada. Here's a look at the investment deals for Canada versus the U.S. Canada. There are 133 licensed producers, or LPS, in Canada that have received green light from the government to cultivate and sell pot in the medical and recreational markets. While Canada is the first major economy to legalize weed, it has a small population of fewer than 37 million. That is about a tenth of the size of the U.S. population. Recognizing the limits of selling pot there, larger LPS are turning towards international markets to drive growth. Many are prohibited from operating in the U.S. because they're listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, which has started to delist companies that violate U.S. federal law. Instead, they're turning to countries such as Germany, Australia, Colombia, and Israel to establish regional beachheads from which to sell medical marijuana. This option isn't open to U.S. players, which can't move cannabis across state lines, much less export it internationally. The risk for Canada pot producers is that they become nothing more than farmers producing a low margin commodity while their American cousins reap the financial benefits, including higher profits margins of selling and recognizing brands. The laws in Canada prevent most marketing and bargaining, a hurdle for companies trying to connect with consumers. We are not as aggressive and competitive and capitalistic as the folks down south of the border. U.S. More than 30 states now allow medical marijuana, and Michigan became the 10th to approve recreational use in November. With a public support for legalization in the U.S. greater than 60%, there is growing optimism that the restrictions will continue to be relaxed. That means more of the world's largest consumers' economy will have access to legal pot, a mammoth incentive for investors. The federal prohibition on weed has largely kept institutional investors on the sidelines, but as more states ease restrictions, capital is flowing to U.S. companies A key turning point came in April when Senator Cory Gardner, Republican, Colorado, said President Donald Trump didn't intend to go after pot businesses operating legally in the states that had eased restrictions. Some states require that companies sell pot also grow and distribute it, and particularly on the East Coast, there have been limited numbers of licenses handed out. That could all change if marijuana gets a federal nod. Next up is a story from the Journal. La Plata Electric in talks to accommodate solar farms. La Plata Electric Association in negotiation with the wholesale energy suppliers to help bring more solar power to the region. LPEA LEAP can purchase only 5% of its total energy from independent renewable energy producers. The co-op is committed to buying the rest of the energy from its wholesale supplier, Tri-State Generation and Transmission, until 2050. But LEAP and Tri-State are in the talks that could allow companies to build solar arrays in the region by selling power directly to Tri-State, said Ron Meir, manager of engineering and member relations at LEAP. We are hopeful we are making headway with Tri-State, he said. We would like it to happen sooner rather than later, he said. If a deal is reached, Tri-State would purchase power from the solar arrays, developers, and pass costs of that power directly along the LEAP. Meyer said the cost for the solar power would likely be higher for LEAP upfront, but over the time, LEAP would see cost saving from the array, he said. Such a deal would help boost the regional economy by allowing solar companies to build arrays here, he said. That if Tri-State and LEAP can reach a deal to jointly purchase renewable power, it would be the first agreement of its kind between a co-op and Tri-State. He said an existing policy allows for deals like this. Companies interested in building solar arrays in the area have another route. They can be a qualifying facility under a local co-op to purchase their power. At that point, LEAP could access Tri-State 5% cap, he said. Small-scale facilities that rely on wind, solar, biomass, hydro, or geothermal sources can to generate power that can meet federal guidelines. To help solar projects move forward, LEAP is researching the best location for solar arrays to connect to the co-op's electrical grid. He said only certain locations on the grid have the equipment to accommodate the solar arrays, producing 10 to 20 megawatts of power, he said. By comparison, LEAP consumes 150 megawatts of power at peak times in the winter, he said. Now here's Hannah with Dumb Laws.
Dumb laws in Minnesota. The land of 10,000 lakes declares mosquitoes a public nuisance. It is illegal to stand around any building without a good reason to be there. A person may not cross state lines with a duck atop his head. All men driving motorcycles must wear shirts. Citizens may not enter Wisconsin with a chicken on their head. All bathtubs may not have feet. In Cottage Grove, airplanes may not be landed in city parks. Residents of even-numbered addresses may not water their plants on odd-numbered days except for the 31st of the month. In Minneapolis, People are forbidden from walking in or around alleyways. Red cars may not drive down Lake Street. In Minnetonka, driving a truck with dirty tires is considered a public nuisance. Placing tracks on a sidewalk is considered a public nuisance. Tax. Any person who persuades another to enter a massage therapist's business after 11 PIS guilty of a misdemeanor. And St. Cloud. Hamburgers may not be eaten on Sundays. Now for the weather report. Our current weather data comes from the DCTV weather station located in the beautiful downtown Duff Creek. The current temperature is 30 degrees. The high for today was 31 degrees. The low was 19 degrees. The bobble meter is at the Binky meter is at 30.28 inches and is falling. Humidity is at 97%. Wind is between 1 and 4 miles per hour from the southwest. Gusts have been up to 9 miles per hour. There were 0 hundredths of an inch of rain measured today by the DCTV weather station. Moisture for the month is 1/100th of an inch. Moisture accumulation for the year is 7 inches and 3/100. Public notice. Starting December 1st, 2018, extremely low temperatures are forecast for our area. Temperatures may be in low single digits. Please get yourselves ready so you don't freeze up. Brr. Now for the big map, courtesy of the National Weather Service. There is a little rain mixed with snow in the California-Nevada border. There is a big patch of snow in the Rocky Mountains. The low in Colorado is probably reasonable for the snow we get over the weekend. This second high over Nebraska is keeping most of the Midwest clear. Other patches of rain and snow in the Great Lakes area in Ohio River Valley in northern New England. This low in Florida has most of the state engulfed in rain activity. Here is our exclusive DCTV 5-day forecast. Tuesday, mostly sunny, high 30, low 14. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high 38, low 18. Thursday, snow showers, high 39, high 40 and low 26 and a low Q. Friday, snow showers, high 38, low 21. Saturday, partly sunny, high 38, low 18. Now for the new feature, we present you with the snow tow, which will give you the amount of snowpack in the mountains. We hope it will be helpful for our farmers. Statewide, we're at 118%. In our area, we're at 80% of normal. The upper Rio Grande is 88% of normal. The South Platte is 148% of normal. And now for a CO2 climate report. CO2 carbon dioxide is considered a greenhouse gas and is one of the principal causes of climate change. Gosh darn it. CO2 traps heat in the atmosphere, which causes climate instability. This results in significant variations worldwide of moisture and hot and cold temperatures, but the general climate trend is the planet is slowly warming. Therefore, it is important that we report the CO2 weekly change. The following are the CO2 numbers in parts per million. Last week, 408.38. 2 weeks ago, 408.60. Last year, 406.27. 10 years ago, 384.48. 50 years ago, 321.84. Thank you, Dr. Peter Tanz, the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration, and Michael McGee, the CO2.Earth Network, for providing this information. Remember, you can help keep our Kids News Show on air by buying a sponsorship. To become a sponsor, just call 970-677-4119. That's 970-677-4119. Thank you. Now back to your news director.
And that's the end of today's DCTV 4-H Evening News program. This is News Director Dan saying good night and thank you for watching.